Welcome to another episode of the MavRealty Podcast. Today, we have a special guest, Elizabeth Interthal of EBI Law and Title. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So excited. This is something we've been working on, trying to get together since before COVID. And that definitely just screwed up everything.
Right. There was no getting together.
There is no getting together. Also, I just want to apologize. We have a great looking office and we're currently in the process of making it look better. So you might hear some construction noise. I'll do my best to take it out. But anyway, let's get on with this.
Let's go.
So Elizabeth, tell us about yourself.
I was actually born in Palm Harbor. Shortly thereafter, moved to South Florida, where I lived most of my life, went to Boston College and then Syracuse Law. Came back down to Miami to start my law practice, graduated law school in 2004. And I've really been servicing financial institutions, real estate investors for the majority of my 16-year practice.
So let's talk about your area of expertise. You work at EBI Law and Title. And I know personally that not only do you do title work, but you're also an attorney. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. I opened up EBI Law and Title in 2016, and we are a full service law firm. We like to say for our title aspect, we offer concierge real estate legal services. What that means is that we take the analytical skills we've acquired in litigating and drafting transactions throughout the years and apply that to the title aspect. But if there is a legal issue that will arise during a title deal, and if there's no conflict, then we can also handle that legal issue as well to ensure that a deal closes on time and smoothly.
So let's talk about the value of what you do and why you do it.
The value of what I do and why I do it in connection with the title services we offer is because I truly enjoy seeing a deal come together, having a deal close efficiently and correctly and timely, and adding a bit of enjoyment to a deal. For most people, this is the largest investment they're ever going to make. And selling a home, they have a lot of questions. They might be a little apprehensive. So we want to make sure that both the seller and the buyer understand the financial ramifications of the deal and the financial intricacies of the deal. The title company prepares the settlement statement or the closing disclosure, and that's really the financial roadmap of the deal. And we want to work very hard that everybody understands what charges are on there, what those charges mean, the allocation of taxes, because when you sell a home, if it is before the tax bill has been paid, then you generally give a credit to the buyer for the amount of time that you've lived there. So when you look at that settlement statement, there are a lot of numbers, but we really work hard to make sure that everyone understands what each of those numbers mean.
So can you give us a breakdown of what has taken place once an executed contract is sent to you? And can you also explain executed contracts? Because
don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Sure. So the realtors of the deal will send to the buyers and sellers an executed contract. The contract then, once executed by the proper representatives of the seller and the proper representatives of the buyer, is a binding agreement between the two parties. Most realtors use the Florida realtor contract. And it's in essence a form that they can fill out now with technology, either on their phones or on their computers. And it's usually signed also with a click instead of a handwritten signature these days. The contract provides certain things that we call material terms. It has the name of the parties, the property that the buyer is buying, the address, and sometimes the tax ID number, or maybe even a brief legal description, how much you're paying for the property, when a deposit needs to make it into my trust account. As a lawyer, we have trust accounts that are highly regulated by the Florida bar, so that your funds are always protected and it's regulated and monitored. So your deposit comes in, I get a contract, I send out my wiring instructions generally to the buyer and say, okay, you have 3 days to make your deposit. Then once the deposit's made, I send out what's called an earnest money receipt. Everybody knows, hey, the deposit's been made, the transaction's moving forward. At that point, generally the buyer maybe has 10 days to inspect the property and cancel, generally without, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, without penalty if something arises in the inspection and they don't want to proceed with the transaction. Oftentimes, one or two things happens. The inspection goes out without a hitch and the contract proceeds. Or they didn't realize that something was wrong and a lower sales price could be negotiated. And then the contract proceeds, hopefully then without a hitch. Mm-hmm. We, at that point, order certain reports so we can understand who actually legally owns the property if there's any encumbrances on the property, and also if there's any unrecorded violations that are going to be assessed against the property from a municipality. We gather all of that data, review it, analyze it, and then discuss with the parties how best to resolve any of the issues that might arise. And generally that's with a payment of funds or additional documents that need to be executed. More times than not, if the owner's prior title company did not adequately do their job and failed to what we call satisfy one of the exceptions on our report, we have to contact that title company, get the policy that they issued, and see if our underwriter will then remove that prior exception because of a policy that's also been issued. So it's important when you're picking a title company, when you're selecting a title company, which the seller who generally pays for title has the right to do, you're picking someone that's going to read all that information, that's going to work hard to ensure that all of those exceptions are cleared and that you're getting clear title to quite a large investment in your life.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot.
That is a lot. And then it culminates with us getting either the finances from the bank, and we work very hard, and this is what does take a bit of time, is getting the bank all the financial information they need and all the information they need about the property. And then balancing, it's called balancing with the bank, making sure that all of those escrows that you see on the bank statement, all of either the origination fees or anything like that, is properly also reflected on our settlement statement. And then the buyer will wire us the remainder of the funds needed, or the bank will wire us the remainder of the funds needed. We get everything into our trust account, make sure it all balances against that settlement statement I was telling you about. And then once all the documents are signed and we have authority from the lender, we then disperse the funds. So the seller gets their money, the realtors get their money, and whoever else in the transaction will then get their money.
So the easiest way to understand this is how my mind works. Whenever you buy a product and it says, read these terms and agreement, and you scroll and hit the checkbox, she's going to read every single word to make sure you're okay.
That's funny because sometimes I say I went to law school, but all I really did was get taught to read.
Yeah.
We get paid a lot to read, and all of that teeny little print was drafted by a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's generally the way it goes. So we get paid to read the fine print, and it helps. Not only do we get paid to read it, we get paid to arguably put it into English.
Right. And it's arguably something that shouldn't be taken lightly.
No.
Especially when buying a home.
When buying a home, and that's why it's such a pleasure to work with Mav, because the Mav realtors are so knowledgeable in what they do, and they have such a great understanding of the real estate process that when they're explaining it to their buyers or their sellers, those sellers or buyers come to the transaction far more educated than other buyers and sellers might. So it's really great to work with a brokerage such as Mav and the level and sophistication of professionals that are here. It's a great service to the buyers and sellers.
Yeah, for sure. So what has surprised you the most working with Mav Realty compared to other brokerages?
There's been a lot that has surprised me working with Mav. Predominantly, as I mentioned recently, the level of sophistication that the brokers have. I feel like realtors sometimes get a bad rap. Oh, there's so many realtors. Boston College taught us one thing. The world always needs one more good one. And Mav certainly is a brokerage that's one more good one and really cultivates skilled, knowledgeable professionals to service their clients. Also, the level of technology that Mav has developed is unparalleled to anything I've seen. It facilitates title because of the organization that Mav has, and when we get those contracts, when we need information, it's amazing. And also helps their clients to ensure that their deals flow easier and quicker and more smoothly. As you mentioned about the contract, every real estate contract has a clause that's called time is of the essence. That means that those deadlines are not suggestions, they're mandates.
Yeah.
So having the implementation of technology that Mav has ensures that the parties stay on those deadlines. And it's truly a pleasure to work with such a professional firm.
So why do you love working in real estate?
I love working in real estate because after litigating for so long, it's nice to come to a transaction where everybody wants the same thing. That's for the transaction to close, the buyers to get their beautiful new home, and the sellers to get their money. So it's nice when you enter a transaction like that and everyone involved is excited for a closing. It's the complete opposite of litigation where everyone is excited for trial, but only one party ends up happy at the end. So it's just an enjoyable way to spend time and use the skills I've learned in litigation and the analytical skills and apply them to transactional work.
So going back to EBI law and title, do you have mobile closers?
We do have mobile closers. As we started this off, obviously COVID has changed the way a lot of us do business. And it was even before COVID, we were seeing that people don't want to leave their office in the middle of the day at 2:00 and drive 45 minutes because they have to sign some paperwork. So we do have a team of mobile closers that we use to ensure that the deal closes the way the buyers and sellers want it to close. And that I've closed many deals at the home during the final walkthrough. That seems to be convenient for the parties. So we, as I mentioned, we have mobile closers. We also are looking more into DocuSign and technology that allows a party to execute a certain amount of documents without even another person being there. So we try to stay ahead of technology to ensure that the closing goes smoother and that the parties aren't inconvenienced. We want people to say that was a great closing. Thank you for everything. And it was as little inconvenience as us. The funds are in my account. We can go wherever we want to go now.
Yeah. So as we mentioned earlier, you are a licensed attorney. So do you have any other attorneys on staff?
I am the only attorney on staff. We do have paralegals that will assist with the processing of some of our files. The paralegals are also very skilled with 20 plus years of experience in title and real estate. So everyone that touches your file has been doing this for way more than 10 years.
Talk about the importance of that, because there's some title companies that don't have attorneys on staff.
The importance of that, and I think I mentioned Elizabeth earlier, is if something comes up that requires a legal issue, we are able to handle that. But more importantly, if something that comes up that's actually simply a title issue, we have the ability to, in my opinion, decipher that issue a little bit better and then obtain any additional information that might be needed related either to our underwriters or the lender or whatever party needs that information. For example, we were in the middle of a refinance and the borrower was included in a lawsuit. The borrower had no idea why he was included in said lawsuit. As an attorney, within a matter of 10 minutes, I was able to review the lawsuit and notify the lender of the claim, the potential liability, and why he was included in terms the lender could understand, and then the refinance went through without a hitch.
So do y'all do municipal lien searches, and what do you charge for those?
We do municipal lien searches. We often use PropLogix, which is a third party, to do those searches. And that covers any violations that might be on the property from the municipality that aren't recorded of public record. If you haven't cut your grass in too long, if your fence is too high, then the municipality could assert municipal liens against the property that can add up because they often have daily fines. And we use PropLogix, and whatever PropLogix charges pursuant to that municipality, it is a fee that is completely passed on to the seller. So we don't make any money off of those. We don't upcharge those at all. Whatever third party fee is charged, we pass that directly on.
Do you do any continuing education for realtors?
We do. We do lunch and learns. And obviously with the new COVID thing, if that wants to be virtual or in person, we will try to do more lunch and learns or cocktails and education.
Yeah.
We're happy to pour everybody a glass of wine and learn a little bit more about what's going on. And I could foresee us doing one as the more remote closings and remote notaries and online notarization increases. I could definitely see us doing a class on that about how no one has to leave their home, whether to buy or sell a house.
Right. So do you work after hours to get the deal done?
To us, there is no end of a day. There's just an end of a deal. So whether it's 4 a.m. or 10 o'clock at night, we work all the time to get a deal done. As I was mentioning, lenders, especially now that everyone's working from home, have not been getting us documents timely. And I just think it's a byproduct of everyone has a segment of the deal at the lender and everyone's no longer working together in the office. So it's a little bit more choppy than it was in the past. We follow up perpetually with the lenders. We follow up with all parties to a deal so that they're abreast of the transaction, of the timing of the transaction, and we work very hard to get it done. There is no end of the day. There is no work day. As some of the realtors know that work at Mav, you can call, text, email, Saturday, Sunday. I know that your realtors are working hard. Your sellers are concerned. Your buyers are concerned. The buyers and sellers are working and can't deal with this during the day. So whenever anybody has a question, I try to address it as quickly as possible, regardless of the day or time.
Let's talk about title hiccups. So
Okay.
I know I've heard horror stories about people going through divorces and illegitimate children that can just end the deal right there. So
yeah, so when you're going through a divorce or with the case that you're probating someone's estate and there's real estate involved, I would highly recommend talking to a title attorney. Or having your probate attorney or divorce attorney consult a title attorney. I've often seen times, either in probates or divorces where they think property was conveyed from one party to another. All the kids think that, Tom, the brother, got all the property and that all the notices of intent to transfer property were correctly done. Florida has a certain way in which property transfers from one person to another. If the probate attorney or divorce attorney doesn't properly follow that procedure, there could be that second cousin out there who still has 1/8 of an interest in that house that we're trying to sell. And now we have to figure out where in the U.S. he is. And, even though we gave him the $2,000 to sign whatever we thought was okay,
right.
Now he wants $4,000 more to finish it up. So it behooves you, if you're getting anything executed about the transfer of title and property, to contact a real estate attorney. And even if it's a simple, can you review these documents? It'll help in the long run. Trust me.
If you have skeletons in your walls, Elizabeth will find them.
Yes. And if I don't, all those reports that I talked about will, and then we will have to find them again.
So do you have any hobbies?
I do have hobbies. Before COVID, we loved to eat out.
Yeah.
There were some great places that we always went to, and now we find ourselves either picking up from them or buying gift cards. We loved E&E. They have
For sure.
great lunches from the best lamb chops in town.
Great French dip.
Great French dip. Oh, yeah. And the bread. I mean, the bread at any of these
yeah.
places is great. Belleair Market, Chris there. Just call him up, tell him what wine you like, and he can put it right in your car.
Right.
You might have to give him a credit card for that, but
Yeah.
they're great. Or you can pick up meals from there too, already prepared, when all of us are a little tired of cooking, I'm guessing at this point, and I love to cook. Seaweed, just keep going down and make the right. If
Right.
you're passing all these places, they have
Great oysters.
Great oysters. And
Sushi.
we had some sea bass from them the other night with like the
Ooh.
curry sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious. And we picked it up and it was, still wonderful. If we keep heading down over the bridge and you make a right into the Sand Key stores, there's the Columbia. We picked up from them on Saturday. And again, the bread is delicious. Just tell them you have one more person in your party and they'll give you a whole loaf. I don't
Yeah.
know if I can say that, but
Yeah.
it's good. Sand Pearl, just keep on. I'm just heading right down
Yeah.
the beach. Another good place. And then I have recently started working out a little bit more, especially now we
Yeah.
have more time. And Rhythms and Routines offers great online classes. And she's been studying health and nutrition for 10 years. And they're fantastic. So I've really been enjoying those classes in captivity or confinement or
Yeah.
whatever we're calling it these days. I've lost track.
Right. Yeah, we're going to have links to all these places. Make sure you just go support all these local businesses. Hasn't been easy for them. Hasn't been easy for anybody. But just make sure, just get a gift card now and you can go there later. Go on your own time. Elizabeth,
Yes.
closing thoughts.
This was wonderful. As it's been great working with Mav. It's been great getting to know your agents better. And, as we get to know your agents better, I feel like every deal we get more streamlined and we get more efficient and we can better serve the customers. Both your customers become my customers. And it's truly a wonderful alliance. I really enjoy working with you guys. And this has been fun. It's been fun to chat.
Oh, it's been great. I don't know, just hearing about all this, title really is the unsung hero of the real estate transaction.
We are definitely the ones that can mess it up if we don't do it correctly,
Yeah.
because we're the ones that need to make sure everything is on time, and we're the ones that handle all the financial part of it. So making sure that you pick a responsible, educated, and a title company that can communicate clearly is, I think, some of the most important things.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Make sure, if you like this, to tell somebody about it, like it, share it. I guess that's it.
And then call Mav if you're selling or buying a house.
And then call Elizabeth for your title work and all your law work. And for, man, if you just need to know if you have skeletons in your walls, you know. So-
If you have any questions about it, or if you have questions about a title policy or a title issue that arose after closing,
Ooh.
and how possibly to make a claim on a title policy, if you are dealing with one of those unsatisfied conditions, you can reach us and we can certainly help walk you through how to deal with that as well.
That's awesome.
Of course.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And y'all stay tuned.